Texas has filed a lawsuit directly with the Supreme Court against Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. They're not arguing fraud or trying to prove fraud happened. They're suing on the grounds that those 4 states changed their election laws unconstitutionally, and they make a solid case. The Democrats will characterize this as Republicans trying to disenfranchise millions of voters, but actually, changing election rules illegally disenfranchised voters first. I was talking to a Democrat friend about this the other day, and his take was that it didn't matter if it's unconstitutional or not. To him, if the changes made voting easier, that was okay. To that I said, well, why not have us call or text our votes in? That would make it even easier than mail-in ballots. I was making the point that making it easier also makes it easier to cheat. Anyway, here's part of what the lawsuit says according to Breitbart. Quote, certain officials in the defendant states presented the pandemic as the justification for ignoring state laws regarding absentee and mail-in voting. The defendant states flooded their citizenry with tens of millions of ballot applications and ballots in derogation of statutory controls as to how they are lawfully received, evaluated, and counted. Whether well-intentioned or not, these unconstitutional acts had the same uniform effect. They made the 2020 election less secure in the defendant states. Those changes are inconsistent with relevant state laws and were made by non-legislative entities, without any consent by the state legislatures. The acts of these officials thus directly violated the Constitution. This case presents a question of law. Did the defendant states violate the Electors Clause by taking non-legislative actions to change the election rules that would govern the appointment of presidential electors? These non-legislative changes to the defendant states' election laws facilitated the casting and counting of ballots in violation of state law, which, in turn, violated the Electors Clause of Article 2, Section 1, Clause 2 of the U.S. Constitution. By these unlawful acts, the defendant states have not only tainted the integrity of their own citizens' vote, but their actions have also debased the votes of citizens in plaintiff state and other states that remained loyal to the Constitution." Unquote. That's a strong case, and I'm afraid that this is our last chance to make things right, and probably our best chance because, as Chris Kobach points out, this lawsuit presents a pure question about law. He also explains the second part of the lawsuit like this, quote, "The second constitutional violation occurred when individual counties in each of the 4 states changed the way that they would receive, evaluate, or treat the ballots. 20 years ago, in the landmark case of Bush v. Gore, the Supreme Court held that it violated the Equal Protection Clause of the 14th Amendment when one Florida county treated ballots one way and another Florida county treated ballots a different way. Voters had the constitutional right to have their ballots treated equally from county to county. So when election officials in Wayne County, Michigan, ignored the requirements of Michigan law and denied poll watchers access to vote counting, while other counties in Michigan followed the law, that violated the Equal Protection Clause. Similarly, in Wisconsin, when the administrator of the City of Milwaukee Elections Commission ignored the requirements of Wisconsin law and directed election workers to write in the addresses of witnesses on the envelopes containing mail-in ballots, while ballots without witness addresses were deemed invalid elsewhere, that resulted in the unequal treatment of ballots in the state." Unquote. Texas is asking the Supreme Court to order the states to allow their legislatures to appoint their electors. So if Texas wins the case, the state legislatures in those 4 states would have to figure out how they want to proceed. Would they appoint electors themselves? Or would they try to take out the votes that were unconstitutional and do a recount? It'll be up to those legislatures to make their elections right by the Constitution. If the Supreme Court agrees to take this case, I don't see how they could decide it any other way except for Texas. And if that happens, you better be ready for the craziness. It'll be out of control. There are going to be, as the media will portray, mostly peaceful demonstrations all over America. It won't be pretty. And you know that's the simple truth. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe to our channel, and if you want to become a supporting member of Blue Collar Logic, click on the link in the description and give what you can.